Hi, friends and family. Hope you're having a good evening. I wanted to share with you as I been giving my updates daily of the things I went through while fighting COVID-19 symptoms, while fighting this virus that, in all honesty, I never in my life experienced something so terrifying like this. So I just wanted to do a quick video about it. And since day one until today, day 13, tomorrow will be day 14. So my 14 days will be done tomorrow of isolation. Yes, and I wanted to share that a lot of you have been calling, texting me, sending me messages, and I know everyone's scared right now. New York City, his hospitals are suffering so much. I mean, it's complete chaos, and it's heartbreaking to see everything that is unfolding in this beautiful city, vibrant city in New York, as well as the rest of the world. So I just wanted to share some of the stuff that I did, and see if it can be of any help for anyone watching this video. If you want to share it with friends, with family, relatives, if you want to share it, go ahead. I give you my permission to do this. And I hope and I pray that it can be of help or inspiration or education or anything for anyone. So, well, it will start by since day one. It was about 2.5 weeks ago where I started noticing that I was getting tired. As many of you know me, I pretty active. I go to the gym like 4 to 5 times a week. I'm not nowhere near an athlete or anything like that, but I'm very active, and I do weights and cardio, all that stuff. And I started feeling weird, a little bit weird about 2.5 weeks ago, where I noticed like, I'm starting to feel a little bit short of breath. When the gym being closed, I was working out at home, and I was trying to do the best and, keep myself active, staying home and doing all the things that I could do, to stay active. But then I started noticing that even talking, I felt a little bit out of breath. So I thought maybe it's a bit of anxiety, being cooped up here in my room, working from home. So, I didn't have a cough, I didn't have a fever, nothing. So last week, Friday, so on Friday, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, Friday evening, I went to sleep around midnight, and I woke up around 4 a.m. completely in a puddle of sweat. And I was like, okay, this is weird, and like, did I have a fever? So I didn't know what was going on. I got up, I changed the sheets in my room, my bed, and I changed pajamas, and then I went back to sleep. I woke up on Saturday morning and I felt fine. I was like, oh, probably I had a mini fever. At that time I did not have a thermometer, so I do not know what my temperature was. On Saturday morning I felt relatively okay. I had to go and do grocery shopping. So I put on my mask, my gloves, I know the whole deal, keeping myself distant from anyone, not touching anything, like really doing everything. I do not encourage anyone to go out, of course, unless it's a necessity or an emergency. So I went to the local, light went off. I went to the local, my local supermarket, Key Food, in the Upper West Side here in New York City. And, I believe I posted on me making the line. It was raining that day, and, we only had 10 minutes to shop, and they were only letting about 5 people at a time, which is good. I mean, so it's a big shout out to all the supermarkets that are doing this. the grocery workers, who are exposing themselves, and they're doing an amazing job on making sure that everyone follows the rules and, keeps themselves safe. So big shout out to them. I did my shopping. This is about 4:30 in the afternoon, right? I called my dad to help me carry all the groceries back home. It's only a couple of blocks, but I already felt like, okay, it's a lot of groceries, and I'm not making 2 trips. So my dad went and he helped me carry the groceries back home. I get home. I was relatively okay. Nothing, no fever, nothing. I laid on my bed. This is about 5:30 now. And I laid on my bed and I just kind of like drift off, fell asleep. I woke up, and the minute I woke up, I knew something wasn't right. Hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, I was outside in the supermarket, carrying stuff, doing normal stuff. And then now I was waking up and I felt like I was laying down. I was laying on my back on my bed. And I felt like this huge pressure on my chest, on my throat. I mean, everything. I don't even know how to describe it. But it was suffocating. And I was like, this is so weird. I get up. I immediately jumped up. And I feel that I'm like shaking. I have chills all over my body. And then I was like, okay, this is not right. I called a lift immediately. And I went to City MD urgent care, which I posted the time I went. I go there and I'm like, I can't breathe. I told my dad not to get close to me. So thank God my dad was on the other side of the apartment. I just texted him and told him that I was leaving to urgent care because I didn't know what was happening. I felt weird, felt super out of breath. I get to urgent care. I tell the receptionist, the nurses there, what's happening. Within 5 minutes, they sat me down. They checked my vitals and they're like, well, since that you have a fever, let's wait for what the doctor says. So I'm like, okay, I can't breathe. I'm like talking to them, and every third word that I would say, I was totally out of breath. And I'm like, I don't have a history of asthma. I do not have any cardiovascular underlying condition, no diabetes, no high blood pressure. I mean, the only thing that I have as a teenager and had been acid reflux, but no cardiovascular conditions, nothing, absolutely nothing else. So I'm telling that to the nurse, and the nurse is like, well, just wait for the doctor. We're going to check your oxygen level. And the doctor said, well, your oxygen seems to be fine. It's 96. Since that you had a low-grade fever, I can see you're out of breath. At that time, I had a dry cough already. I mean, it just hit me. It didn't even give me time to think, okay, I'm getting sick. I heard so many people say, well, when the flu or the cold, you can kind of feel yourself that you're getting sick. Like, oh, I'm getting sick little by little. This just hit me like out of nowhere. It just hit me like a rock on the face. I just touched my face. I'm not supposed to touch my face. You're not supposed to touch your face, even though I wash my hands 20 times, but no. So I was explaining to the doctor, I don't feel well, and I don't know, I was freaking out. I was like, he's telling me to do breathing exercises, and then he's like, to be honest, you're exhibiting all COVID-19 symptoms. We don't have any tests right now. There's no test anywhere. Like, if you go to a hospital, like, if you don't feel that well within a couple of hours, I suggest you call 911, and they're going to take care of you. They're going to give you oxygen. Just call the paramedics, and you should be fine. And you're strong, and you're healthy, people, around your age, and you look pretty strong. You look like a active, healthy person, so you'll be fine. Just go home, isolate yourself for about a week and a half, and you should be fine. You're not really critically ill. The hospital right now, they're overcrowded, which is true. So, but you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And when he was telling the nurse, what the diagnosis was, and like, oh, I think she has like a viral upper respiratory infection. I'm like, you think? He was just saying that, like doing a test at this moment right now, like, would be a waste of time. It would be a waste of a test. You probably have it. Probably a lot of us have it, but there's not enough tests. Just go home and you'll be fine because you're young and you're fighting and you'll be fine. I go home. He only told me to take Tylenol for a fever or any pain or anything. So that's it, and keep myself hydrated, which I've been doing. I come home and, I immediately texted my dad not to get near me. Thank God he wasn't anywhere near me. And I thank God that he's completely healthy. He doesn't have any symptoms. He's been in quarantine out of precaution for 2 weeks now. Haven't seen him. We only communicate via text because I've been in my room in isolation. So I get home, and an hour and a half later, I'm sitting there trying to do breathing exercises, and I don't remember. I don't even know. All I remember is like opening my eyes and like falling off my bed, and at this moment gasping for air. My dad is knocking at the door of my room, and he's like, because I locked my room, and he's like, yelling at me, and I'm like completely out of it. Like, I think I fainted for a couple of seconds. I passed out. Before that, a friend of mine, he came to see me. He was wearing a mask and everything, and he came to lend me his inhaler, and he gave me some stuff, vitamins, and I never used an inhaler because I never suffer any asthma or anything. So he gave me his inhaler out of precaution, and he showed me how to use it and everything. And I had it on my bed, and all I remember is like me reaching out for the inhaler, because at this point I'm like gasping for air, trying to call my dad, like trying to call 911, telling him to call 911, because I honestly thought I was gonna die. It was like I was completely done at that moment. My chest pain, I could feel my heart rate was like going crazy, my heartbeat. I felt that my entire body was shaking. I reached out for an inhaler, opened it, used an inhaler for the first time in my life, and I breathed in, and it was like a relief for a couple of seconds. My dad calls 911, and then I remember having the inhaler in my hand, and next thing I remember was like, my dad, I hear sirens. So at this point, my dad couldn't touch me or anything. I kind of get up, stumble across, on my knees on the floor of my room, open the door, and he grabs me. He had like a mask and gloves, and the paramedics come, and like, they sat me down, and I'm passing out again, and like they kind of like, shake me. They're like, asking all these questions. I can't even talk. My dad is answering everything for me. And they're like, don't go to sleep, wake up. And I'm like passing out. They take my vitals, and my oxygen was at 90. An hour and a half before that, when I went to urgent care, it was a 96. Now it was a 90. They're saying, yes, you have a fever. They did an EKG. They're trying to calm me down. They're like, yeah, since you have a little bit of tachycardia, I don't have any heart issues. I tell him my history little by little. I couldn't speak, so my dad is basically saying everything at this point. Sorry. It's just a little bit of dry cough, but and they're just trying to keep me awake, and trying to calm me down. They're like, it seems that you're freaking out, yes, and I'm dizzy as hell because obviously I can't breathe. And they told me, listen, you're young. I told them I went to urgent care. I showed them the paper, and they're like, well, yeah, you basically have all the symptoms for COVID-19. Taking you to hospital and doing a test will be kind of pointless at this point. You have no history of any respiratory or any cardiovascular or any asthma. So definitely, if we take you, you gotta make a decision. If we take you, your dad can come with you. No one can go and visit you. You won't be able to speak or talk to anyone. And if we take you, they're just gonna put a tube down your throat. They're gonna intubate you. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Basically put a tube down your throat, and that's it. You don't know for how long you're gonna be there. You're gonna have to be waiting in a hallway for like hours, gasping for air. There's not enough ventilators. There's not enough anything. So it's your choice. We either take you. Yes, you're in a pretty rough condition right now, and we can take you, but they were really pushing for me to stay. if we take you, that's it. You better say bye to your dad here. And I'm like, my dad is freaking out, crying. And I'm like, all I could think is like, oh my God, my dad is diabetic and he has high blood pressure. So like, and they're like, you run the risk that when we take you to hospital, you can catch another virus on top of what you have right now, on top of the virus that you have right now, because you were diagnosed with a viral infection, and you run the risk of getting worse, being isolated from your friends, family, and we don't know what's going to happen to you. Or you can really go and isolate yourself and fight it. Like, just fight it as if you're fighting in a war, basically, and suffer through it. You're gonna suffer through it. The worst days might be coming. If it really gets to a point where you get worse, then just call us and we'll come and get you. But now you know what's gonna happen to you when we take you to the hospital. There's no rooms, there's nothing available there. People there are like dying. Every minute they're dying. Like, someone is dying every 3 minutes. So it's your choice. I said I will stay. And I had a lot of friends, family members freaking out, telling me, go to the hospital, go. And like, it was so many people telling me, do this, do that. I mean, and then I'm like, no, I will go between back and forth. Okay, should I go? Should I call 911 again? At that point, I told my dad he needed to stay on the other side of the apartment. So he's been staying on the other side of the apartment, zero contact with me, just via text. I came into my room and I knew that my room was going to be my little bunker, where I was gonna have to fight this virus.